Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. When was the last time you felt truly proud of yourself? Not because someone told you to feel proud. Not because you won a prize. Not because the world was watching, but because you knew, deep inside, that you were becoming better. Think about that. When was the last time? Maybe it was a long time ago. Maybe you can't even remember. Or maybe you are still waiting for that moment to come. And here is another question. Why are you learning English? Is it just for a job? Just for an exam? Just because someone told you to? Or is there something deeper? Something you feel but cannot explain? Because I truly believe, that when a person decides to learn a new language, they are not just learning words. They are not just learning grammar. They are making a decision. A decision to grow. A decision to reach. A decision to become. And that decision is everything. Welcome to Narrative English. My name doesn't matter right now. What matters is you. What matters is this moment. This quiet moment when you chose to sit down, press play, and listen. That choice tells me something about you. It tells me you are not done yet. It tells me you believe there is more for you in this life. And I am here to tell you, you are right. Today we are going on a journey together. A journey through stories. Through struggle. Through transformation. You will learn English today. But you will also learn something more important. You will learn about yourself. So sit back, breathe slowly, and listen carefully. Listen to these words. Let them sink into your mind. Let them settle into your heart. Because today, your journey begins. There was a young man named Rohan. He lived in a small apartment. He had a simple job. He ate the same food every day. He watched the same shows every night. He talked to the same people. He followed the same routine. And on the outside, everything looked fine. But on the inside, something was wrong. He felt heavy. He felt stuck. He felt like life was moving around him, but he was standing completely still. Do you know that feeling? That feeling that the world is spinning fast, and you are just watching it. Rohan knew that feeling very well. Every night, he would lie in bed and ask himself the same question. Is this it? Is this all there is? And every morning, he would wake up and do nothing about it. Because here is the truth about comfort. Comfort is not your friend. Comfort feels like safety. It feels like a warm blanket on a cold night. But if you stay under that blanket too long, you stop moving. You stop breathing. You stop living. There is a story, an old story, about a farmer and his mule. The farmer had a mule that fell into a deep well. The mule was old. The well was broken. The farmer decided it was not worth saving the mule. He called his neighbors. They all agreed. They would fill the well with dirt. They would bury the mule. It was the kind thing to do, they said. So they started throwing dirt into the well. The mule felt the dirt hit his back. He panicked. He cried. He was terrified. But then something happened. The mule shook the dirt off his back, and he stepped on it. More dirt came. He shook it off. He stepped on it. More dirt, more shaking, more stepping. Slowly, the mule rose higher and higher and higher. Until one day, he simply walked out of the well. The thing that was meant to bury him became the ground he stood on. Listen to these words carefully. Let them sink into your mind. The thing that was meant to bury you can become the ground you stand on. Step 1. Recognize your well. What is your well right now? What situation makes you feel trapped? Write it down. Name it. Because you cannot solve a problem you refuse to see. Step 20. Feel it fully. Don't run from the discomfort. Sit with it. Breathe through it. Say to yourself, this feeling is not the end. This is the beginning. Step 3. Shake it off and step on it. Every struggle, every failure, every rejection, shake it off, and then use it. Step on it. Rise because of it. Rohan heard this story from an old man in a tea shop, and something inside him cracked open. Just a little. But sometimes, just a little is enough. After that day, Rohan decided to make a change. He wanted to learn English. He had always wanted to. But every time he tried, a voice came. And this voice was cruel. It said, "You are too old. You started too late. Smart people learn fast. You learn slow. You will always fail. People will laugh at you." Do you know this voice? Of course you do. Because that voice lives inside all of us. Psychologists have a name for it. They call it the inner critic. That part of your mind that has decided, without any real evidence, that you are not enough. But here is something you need to know about that voice. It is a liar. Not sometimes. Not mostly. Always. Let me tell you about a woman named Maria. She was a 42-year-old cleaner. She cleaned offices every morning from 4 to 8. Then she went home. She cooked. She cleaned her own house. She took care of her children. She had no time. She had no money for courses. She had no one to practice English with. But she had a phone. And she had 15 minutes every night before sleep. Just 15 minutes. She used those 15 minutes to listen to English stories. Not to study grammar. Not to memorize vocabulary. Just to listen. Just to let the language wash over her like water. 6 months later, she had a conversation with her daughter's English teacher. The teacher was surprised. "Where did you study?" he asked. Maria smiled. "In the dark," she said. "Every night. In the dark." The voice in her head had said she could not do it. But she did it anyway. And that is the secret. You do not need to silence the voice. You do not need to defeat it. You just need to move anyway. Listen to these words carefully. Let them become part of you. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward while fear is still watching. Step 1: name the voice. When the inner critic speaks, don't just feel it. Say out loud, "That is my inner critic. It is not the truth. It is just a habit." Step 20: replace the story. Every time the voice says "I can't," whisper back, "Not yet." "But I am learning." "Not yet." 2 small words. But they change everything. Step 3: start so small it feels almost silly. 15 minutes. 1 sentence, 1 new word, 1 story. Start so small that the voice has nothing to argue with. Because it is very hard to argue with 15 minutes. Rohan started with 15 minutes. He felt embarrassed at first. He felt slow. He made mistakes, many mistakes. But he kept going. And slowly, the voice got quieter. Not silent, just quieter. And that was enough. 3 months passed. Rohan was practicing English every day now. Just a little, but every day. And then, one day, something difficult happened. He lost his job. His company closed. Suddenly, without warning. He came to work one morning and the doors were locked. A paper notice on the door said, "We are closing. Thank you for your service." That was it. He stood on the street with his bag. He felt cold. He felt small. He felt like the universe was laughing at him. Why? He thought. I was doing everything right. I was trying. I was growing. Why does this happen to me? Have you ever asked that question? Why me? It is a very human question, and there is no easy answer. But there is a story, and this story might help. A young farmer planted a seed in dry, hard ground. Days passed. No rain came. The farmer was worried. He watered the seed by hand. Every single day, he protected it from the wind. He talked to it. Yes! He talked to his seed. His neighbors laughed at him. "Nothing will grow in this ground," they said. "You are wasting your time." But the farmer kept watering, kept protecting, kept believing. Then, one night, a terrible storm came. Rain poured down. Wind blew hard. Lightning struck nearby trees. The farmer ran outside in the dark, terrified for his seed. And in the morning, when the storm had passed, the seed had broken through the ground. It was green. It was alive. It was small, but it was real. The storm, the very thing that terrified him, had given the seed exactly what it needed. Deep water. Deep roots. Listen carefully to these words. Let them settle in your heart. The storm does not destroy the seed. The storm deepens the roots. Step 1: reframe the storm. When something painful happens, ask a different question. Not "Why is this happening to me?" But instead, "What is this teaching me? What root is growing deeper right now?" Step 2: keep your small habits. When life gets hard, people stop their small good habits. Don't do that. If you study English for 15 minutes every day, keep going. Especially on the hard days. Especially then. Step 3, trust the process, not just the result. You cannot see the root growing underground. But it is growing. Every single day you practice, every single day you try, something is growing. Even when you cannot see it. Rohan lost his job. But he kept studying English every single day. Even on the days when he cried. Even on the days when he was afraid. Even on the days when he didn't feel like it. He kept going. Because somewhere inside him, a seed was growing. And he knew, even if he couldn't see it yet, that one day, it would break through. Time passed. Rohan was searching for a new job. He applied. He sent his resume. He waited. Rejections came, one after another, like waves, cold, hard waves. And then he got an interview. An actual interview. For a company that used English every day. He prepared. He practiced. He was ready. Or so he thought. He walked in. The interviewer smiled and said, "Please, tell me about yourself." And Rohan froze. Every word he knew disappeared. His mind went completely blank. His hands started shaking. His face turned red. He stumbled. He stuttered. He said strange things that didn't make sense. He mixed up his words. He forgot basic sentences. He left the building feeling like a complete failure. He sat on a bench outside, and he asked himself a very honest question. A painful question. Am I actually improving, or am I just pretending? This is the mirror moment. The moment when you have to look at yourself honestly. Not harshly, not cruelly, but honestly. And this is one of the hardest things a human being can do. There is an old Japanese story about a famous painter. A young student came to him and said, "Master, teach me to paint beautifully." The master gave him a mirror and said, "First, look at your face every morning for 1 month. Really look. Not to judge, not to criticize, just to see." The student thought this was a strange instruction, but he obeyed. Every morning, he looked in the mirror, and slowly, he began to really see himself, his lines, his shadows, his expressions, the way light touched his face, the way emotion moved through his eyes. After 1 month, he came back to the master. "Now paint," said the master. And the student painted the most beautiful painting of his life, because he had finally learned to truly see. Listen carefully to these words. You cannot grow past what you are unwilling to see. Step 1. Do an honest audit. Ask yourself, where exactly am I struggling? Is it speaking? Listening? Confidence? Finding the specific weak point is not failure. It is intelligence. Step 2. Practice the hard thing, not the easy thing. Most people practice what they are already good at, because it feels nice, but growth lives in the uncomfortable place. If speaking terrifies you, speak more. If listening is hard, listen more. Step 3. Find a mirror, a real one, a teacher, a language partner, a recording of your own voice. Listen to yourself. Watch yourself. Not to judge, just to see. Because when you can truly see yourself, you can truly change. Rohan recorded himself speaking English that night. He listened to the recording. It was painful. It was embarrassing. He cringed at every mistake. But he listened, and then he practiced. He spoke again. He recorded again. He listened again. Every night. For weeks. And slowly, the recording started to sound different. Better, clearer, more confident. Not perfect, but better. And better is everything. 5 months had passed since Rohan lost his job. He was still searching. He was still practicing. He was tired. Sometimes deeply tired. One evening, he went for a walk by a river near his home. He sat by the water and watched it flow, and he noticed something. The water was flowing around a large rock. Smoothly, gently, without anger, without force. He watched for a long time. And then he picked up a smaller stone from the ground. He felt its smooth surface. He turned it over in his hand, and he realized this stone had once had sharp edges. Once it was rough and jagged, but the river had touched it, again and again and again, and over time, it had become smooth, beautiful, perfect in its own way. The river didn't fight the stone. It didn't attack it. It didn't force it to change. It just kept flowing, and the stone changed anyway. This is the secret of language learning. This is the secret of life itself. You do not need to force change. You do not need to fight yourself. You do not need to be harsh or strict or cruel to yourself. You just need to keep flowing. Day after day, word after word, story after story, and change will come, the way dawn comes after night, quietly, gently, inevitably. Listen to these words, let them flow into you. You don't have to be fierce to change. You just have to be consistent. Step 1: choose consistency over intensity. Don't study for 5 hours one day and nothing for 2 weeks. Instead, choose 15 minutes every day. Every single day. The river is not powerful because it is fast. It is powerful because it never stops. Step 2: be gentle with yourself. Stop speaking to yourself the way you would never speak to a friend. When you make a mistake, say, "That's okay. I am learning." Because it is. Step 3: celebrate small progress. Did you understand a new word today? Celebrate. Did you finish a chapter? Celebrate. Did you speak one sentence without stopping? Celebrate. These small victories are not small. They are the river. They are the change. Rohan held that smooth stone in his hand for a long time. Then he put it in his pocket. He carried it with him every day after that. And whenever he felt frustrated, whenever he wanted to quit, whenever the voice came back and said, "You will never be good enough," he put his hand in his pocket. He felt the smooth stone, and he remembered. The river doesn't fight. The river just flows. And so will I. 7 months in, Rohan got another interview. This time, he was calmer. He had practiced. He had listened. He had grown. He walked in. He sat down. The interviewer asked a question, and Rohan did something he had never done before. He paused. He breathed. And then he answered. Not perfectly, but clearly. Not with the fastest English in the world, but with honest, real, human English. After the interviewer shook his hand and said, "You communicate very well, you are clear, and you are calm." That is rare. Rohan almost laughed. Calm, him. But it was true, because Rohan had learned something that most people never learn. Silence is not the enemy. Pause is not weakness. The space between words is where real communication lives. There is a story about a great musician. A young student came to her and asked, "What makes music beautiful?" She sat down at the piano. She played a simple melody. Then she stopped and asked, "What did you hear?" "Notes," said the student. "Beautiful notes." She shook her head gently. "Listen again." She played the same melody, but this time slower, with more space between the notes. And this time, the student felt something move inside him. Something deep. "What was different?" she asked. The student was quiet for a moment. Then he said softly, "The silence. The space between the notes made the music. Breathe." She smiled. "Yes. The notes make the music, but the silence gives it meaning. And so it is with language. With English. With every conversation you will ever have. It is not just the words you say. It is the space around them. The pause before an important sentence. The breath between your thoughts. The silence that says, "I am thinking. I am present. I am here." Listen carefully to these words. The most powerful speakers are not those who speak the most. They are those who mean the most. Step 1: practice the pause. When you speak English and you don't know a word, don't panic. Breathe. Take 1 second. 2 seconds. The pause is not a mistake. It is a choice. Step 20: say less, mean more. Stop trying to say everything you know. Instead, choose your words carefully. Speak 1 clear sentence rather than 5 confusing ones. Clarity is the highest form of communication. Step 3: listen to music in English. Not just for the words, for the rhythm, for the rises and falls, for the spaces. Let the music teach your mouth and your mind the natural flow of English. Rohan got the job. He sat in the office on his first day. He looked around at his colleagues. They were laughing, talking, emailing in English. And for the first time in a very long time, he didn't feel like an outsider. He felt like he belonged. 3 months into his new job, Rohan's manager called him into her office. He was nervous. Had he made a mistake? She closed the door. She sat across from him. And then she said something that changed everything. I want you to lead the presentation next week. For our international clients. Rohan's heart stopped. Me, he thought. In front of international clients, in English. Alone. Every fear he had ever had came rushing back. Like a wave. Like a cold, dark ocean. He wanted to say no. He almost said no. But then he thought of the mule in the well. He thought of the seed in the storm. He thought of the river and the rock. He thought of Maria in the dark with her 15 minutes. And he said yes. Not because he was ready, but because he understood something now. You are never fully ready for the thing that will make you great. The opportunity always arrives before the confidence. That is not a mistake. That is the design. There is an old story about a butterfly. A young boy found a chrysalis on a branch. He watched it every day. He waited for the butterfly to emerge. One morning, the chrysalis began to move. He could see the butterfly struggling inside. Pushing, fighting, twisting to get out. It looked painful. It looked hard. The boy felt sorry for it. He wanted to help. So he gently cut the chrysalis with small scissors. The butterfly came out easily. But something was wrong. Its wings were small, weak, crumpled. It could barely walk. It never flew. Because the boy did not know. The struggle to emerge from the chrysalis is what forces blood into the butterfly's wings. It is the struggle itself that gives the butterfly the strength to fly. When you remove the struggle, you remove the wings. Listen to these words deeply. The struggle is not in the way. The struggle is the way. Step 1, teen, say yes to the uncomfortable opportunity. The presentation. The conversation with a native speaker. The video you are afraid to record. Say yes before you are ready. Because readiness is built by doing, not by waiting. Step 20, prepare, but don't over-prepare. Over-preparation is often just fear wearing a productive mask. Prepare enough to feel grounded. Then step forward. Trust what you have built. Step 3a, after it is over. Whatever happens, ask one question: what did I learn? Not did I perform perfectly, but what did I learn? Because that answer will make you stronger for every moment that comes after. Rohan gave the presentation. He was nervous. His voice shook a little at the start, but he remembered the space between the notes. He breathed. He paused. He spoke clearly. When he finished, the clients nodded. His manager smiled. And a client from another country raised his hand and said, "That was very clear. Thank you." Just 3 words. That was clear. But those 3 words meant more to Rohan than any trophy, any certificate, any grade he had ever received, because he had earned them. Through every hard night, every silent moment, every 15-minute practice session in the dark, he had earned them. A year had passed since that cold morning when Rohan stood outside the locked doors of his old job. He sat at his desk now, in his new office, looking out of a window at the city below. He thought about the person he was 1 year ago. That man felt stuck. That man felt invisible. That man believed the voice that said you are not enough. And now, he was not a perfect English speaker. He still made mistakes. He still searched for words sometimes. He still had days when he felt uncertain. But he was not the same man. Something fundamental had changed. He had changed. And do you know what the most important change was? It was not his English. It was his relationship with himself. He had learned, really learned, that he was capable of more than he thought. He had learned that comfort was a trap. That struggle was a teacher. That silence had powered. That consistency was stronger than talent. He had learned that learning itself, the act of reaching, of trying, of growing, was not just a path to a destination. It was the destination. There is a story, a beautiful, simple story, about an old woman and a student. The student came to her and said, "I want to become wise. Tell me the fastest way." The old woman poured tea into a cup. The cup was already half full. She kept pouring. The tea overflowed. It spilled across the table, onto the floor. "Stop," said the student. The cup is full. No more can go in. The old woman looked at him calmly. Yes, she said, and so it is with you. You come to me full of what you already know, full of your fears, full of your old stories about yourself. There is no room for wisdom yet. First, empty a little. Then we can begin. This is the most important lesson of all. Learning requires space, and space is created when you let go. Let go of the idea that you are too old. Let go of the idea that you missed your chance. Let go of the idea that it is too hard, or too late, or too much for someone like you. Because none of that is true. None of it. You are here. You are watching. You are listening. You are trying. That makes you braver than most people who never even start. Listen to these words. Let them become your truth. You are not behind. You are exactly where your journey requires you to be. Step once and look back, not to dwell, but to measure. Write down one way you have improved in the last month. Just one. Because growth that is not measured is growth that is not believed, and you need to believe your own growth. Step 2, teach someone else. Find one person, a friend, a family member, a child, and teach them something you have learned. Because the deepest understanding comes when we share what we know. Teach what you know and watch it become yours forever. Step 3, write a letter to your future self. Write it in English. It doesn't have to be perfect. Write about who you are today, who you hope to become, what you are working toward. Seal it. Keep it. Open it in 6 months and see who has arrived. So, we have walked a long road together today. We walked with Rohan, a man who was stuck, a man who was afraid, a man who almost gave up, but didn't. We heard the story of the mule in the well who turned dirt into ground. We heard about Maria, who learned in the dark with just 15 minutes. We heard about the seed and the storm that made its roots grow deep. We heard about the painter and the mirror, the river and the rock, the music and its silence, the butterfly and its struggle. And through all of these stories, we heard one quiet, constant message. You can grow. Not because life will get easier. It might not. Not because you will stop making mistakes. You won't. Not because the voice will disappear completely. It may never fully leave. But because growth is not about the absence of difficulty. Growth is what happens inside the difficulty. Every time you press play on a lesson when you are tired, that is growth. Every time you speak English even though your voice shakes, that is growth. Every time you say, I don't know this yet, but I am learning, that is growth. Every single time, I want to tell you something now, and I want you to really hear it. You are not learning English just to get a job. You are not learning English just to travel. You are not learning English just to pass an exam. You are learning English because somewhere inside you, there is a version of yourself that is bigger than the version standing here today. And every word you learn is a step toward that person. Every story you heard, every sentence you practice, every quiet moment of listening, like this one, right now, is a bridge. A bridge between who you are and who you are becoming. Do not underestimate that bridge. Do not underestimate yourself. Because the world needs your voice, not a perfect voice, not a flawless voice. Your voice, with its accent, with its pauses, with its beautiful human imperfections. Your voice has something to say. Let it say it. And if today you are tired, rest. But do not quit. If today you are afraid, feel it. But do not stop. If today you feel like you are not making progress, look more closely. Because progress is rarely loud. It is usually quiet. A little more confidence. A little more understanding. A little more ease in the words. It is there. It is happening. Even now, I want to leave you with one final thought today. One sentence. A sentence I want you to carry with you. Not just today, but for the rest of your life. Are you ready? Here it is. The person you are becoming is already waiting for you, on the other side of the effort you are afraid to make. Read it again. Say it softly to yourself. The person you are becoming is already waiting for you, on the other side of the effort you are afraid to make. That person is patient. That person is kind. That person is proud of every step you are taking right now, in this moment, by choosing to listen, to learn, and to grow. Go meet that person. Go. And as always, from all of us here at Narrative English, until next time, keep learning, keep growing, keep going.